This tutorial is briefly going to take you through Century, the newest app that we are trialling at GEMS Wellington Academy. This app is personalised to your children's specific needs. Using artificial intelligence, it calculates what your child knows once they have completed a diagnostic test for their given subject, and then it creates an individual pathway based on the objectives that they still need to cover for their year group. I'm briefly going to show you around to show you some of the fabulous tools that are available to you and your children to help them progress in their learning. Every time a child logs in, they will have their own recommended pathway once they have completed their diagnostic tests. Now, depending on what your child's teacher has set for you will depend on which diagnostics they complete and which nuggets are personal to them. The nuggets and the diagnostics can be filtered by subject. So, for example, if I want to have a little look at English or maths, I will just keep whichever tabs on that I want to. Now that will bring up all the English targets that is recommended that your child needs to work on. So it just takes a moment to calculate. And that should bring up my personal learning pathway or your child's personal learning pathway. So as you can see, some of the recommended pathways are here for what that specific child or what your specific child needs to learn. A blue wheel around the top will indicate how far through that specific pathway your child is so far. Now, they don't need to complete that pathway all in one go. They can come back to any of the pathways whenever they want, but we do recommend that your child has a notepad with them to make any notes as they go along through their learning. Now, if we look at the toggles on the left-hand side, they will always end up on My Path when they log in. If they click on My Courses, they'll be able to see all the courses that they are enrolled in and their current scores. So you'll notice that this particular child is enrolled in Primary English, Science, Maths and SPAG for Key Stage 2. You can see current scores of that child in green, so it gives a good overview of where that child is at, and then it gives you how many of the course nuggets your child has completed. Now, as I mentioned before, the nuggets are actually in your child's recommended way. So a nugget is an area of learning that your child needs to complete based on what artificial intelligence is saying they need to. If we come back to courses, you can see how far through they have got on their nuggets. Now, it's up to your child. They can complete what they want and when they want. You may want to have that discussion with them as to when they are doing revision. Now, any assignments that are a set, you can forget about this for now, as we are not currently setting assignments while our children are getting used to this app. However, the most useful feature probably for you and your child to have a discussion is your child's dashboard. Now here you can flick through the subjects that your child is enrolled in. You can see their average score for each nugget that is completed. I'm just going to go through to maths. So you can see this child has completed all of these nuggets. You can at a glance see how well your child has done in a particular nugget, which helps to identify strengths. For example, in diagnostic times tables and division facts, they've scored an average of 100%, whereas this child needs to work on addition and subtraction. Now, if we scroll down to the left-hand side, you'll actually see the skills that your child has been working on and the average score of those tests. So you can clearly see which areas the child still needs to work on. If we scroll even further down, probably the most useful part will be My Strengths. So you can see this child's strengths already here, and this little circle indicates their score in their test. And then quite clearly on the right-hand side of that box, you can see the areas for improvement. Now, for example, at the beginning, an area for improvement for this child would have been place value, but because this child has completed their individual personalised nugget, they now have a score of 85%. So you can see the impact of that child's study. One area that they are continuing to work on is common factors, and that score will increase the more that they study. And then finally, for the child, down in the bottom corner, they can see the areas that they now need to continue to stretch themselves in and areas that they need to continue to focus on to improve. I hope this guide has helped you understand Century a little bit more.